Let's say we don't have rules or guidelines, and all of a sudden we start drinking. Okay, and all of a sudden we're drinking, but we know that we tell them that the clubhouse is available from this time to this time, but they continue to go on, and we say there's no alcohol, whatever the rule is, but then they disobey the rule, and now somebody gets hurt. As far as the board's concerned, if they say, listen, we gave guidelines out and we approved the guidelines, we have a defendable position. We're back to the defendable position when we're sued.
HOA Insights is brought to you by 5 companies that care about board members: Association Insights and Marketplace, Association Reserves, Community Financials, Kevin Davis Insurance Services, and the Inspectors of Election. You'll find links to their website and social media in the show notes.
Hi, I'm Robert Nordlund of Association Reserves.
And I'm Kevin Davis of Kevin Davis Insurance Services, and this is HOA Insights, where we promote common sense
for common areas. Welcome to episode 135, where we're again speaking with insurance expert and regular co-host Kevin Davis. We're hearing from Kevin twice in a row because he has some important insights to share about reducing liability during the holiday season. So we made room in our schedule for this program. Last week's episode 134, where Kevin shared some big picture ideas about insurance here at the end of 2025, with the key issues that, due to insurers returning to profitability after some years of losses, it's likely that insurance premiums will soften a bit as we turn into 2026. In addition, he reminded us all to speak the love language of the insurance providers that you're working with. And that means tell them proactively what you're doing to maintain the property, collecting assessments, and enforcing the rules. So do everything you can to distinguish your association from other average associations, average properties. Now, this is all great material, valuable to you. If you're a repeat listener, you know we deliver valuable content week after week. So if you're one of the 50% of our audience who just drops in periodically for an episode now and then, I encourage you to subscribe to the podcast on our YouTube channel or on any of the major podcast platforms, and recommend the podcast to your manager and other board members. It's all free, and I'm asking because the more subscribers we get, the higher the podcast is listed on search engines. And that means even more people will find the program, helping us do a better job of improving associations all across the country. Those of you watching on YouTube can see the HOA Insights mugs that Kevin and I have. Kind of fun to have here on my desk. We got those from our merch store, and you can browse through the merch store from our hoainsights.org website or the link in the show notes. You'll find we have some great free stuff there, like board member Zoom backgrounds, and some specialty items for sale like mugs. So go to the merch store, download a free Zoom background, then take a moment, look around, find the mug you'd like. If you're the 10th person to email us at podcast@reservestudy.com mentioning episode 135 mug giveaway, we'll ship that mug to you free of charge. Well, we enjoy hearing from you, responding to the issues you're facing at your association, and using those questions to create future episodes. So if you have a hot topic, a crazy story, or a question you'd like us to address, you can always contact us at 805-203-3130 or email us at podcast@reservestudy.com. But as I stated a moment ago, today's episode comes straight from Kevin. He wanted to help you be aware of and be prepared for the unique holiday risks faced during the holiday season. And that ranges from electrical fires caused by the lights that are up to disputes over decorations and liability at holiday events. So, Kevin, all the way from physical risks to tempers and conflicts, what do we need to know?
Thanks. I'm glad we were able to put this in because it's the holiday season, and this holiday season, we want to be happy. Some of us haven't been happy for a while, but we want to be happy. And so in order to really enjoy this holiday season, we have to be aware of some of the exposures serving on a community association board of directors. These are specific to holiday time. This is at December through Thanksgiving all the way, towards the beginning of next year, where we are more excited and we do more than we've done through the rest of the year. So what I want to do today to kind of simplify it is divide it up into 3 areas based on the 3 responsibilities of board of directors of community associations. Okay, so when we talk about the 3 areas, we're talking about assessment collection, financial management of the association. We're talking about enforcing the rules, enforcing the documents of the association. and then we talk about maintenance of the association. So there's the three areas. If you are a board member, those are your three primary responsibilities. If you do those three things, you end up doing them a great job for your community association. So those are basic three things you need to do. So now what we're going to do is take each one of those and say, okay, when it comes to enforcement, what kind of exposure the association has based on this, holiday season?
Yeah, you want to promote happiness. You want to promote joy, but you also don't want to be a Scrooge and say no decorations or, you don't want to be too harsh about things. So you want to find that happy medium.
And this is how we're going to do it. So when we talk about enforcement, we're going to divide it into three areas: people, places, and paper. So we talk about exposure, enforcement. Those are the three areas that we're going to talk about. Okay? So when we talk about people, that is your number one exposure if you are enforcing the documents. Because during the holiday season, people are very unpredictable. There's a lot more people than normally you're going to see in the community. So you're going to have to be able to kind of outline certain behaviors. Because again, and you mentioned it before, we have people who drink a lot during the holiday season. So you got people kind of just, taking too much to drink, and people who may not like each other before, kind of may not like each other more so. So it's an awareness that people right now, your number one exposure so again, you got to enforce the rules of the association. So for example, if you have a rule in terms of holiday decorations, okay, what time you can put them up, what time you can take them down. So it's say November the 15th when you can start putting decorations up. Well, that means you can't put them up November the 1st. Okay. Yeah. And you got to take them down by January the 10th or whatever date you have. You can't leave them for a year. So people right now are the number one area. And when you talk about this one area, talking about really enforcing the documents, you got to make sure that they understand that these are the rules. These are the guidelines when it comes to the holiday time. Okay? So number one is the people.
How much explaining do you need to do? Do you need to justify it? Do you need to say in order to
have it peaceful, quiet, enjoyable, we want you to, these are things these are reminders. These are guidelines.
Is a guideline a rule?
No. These are guidelines, because if you start having rules, then all of a sudden that's where you start raising, how dare they tell me what to do? These are behavioral guidelines for people during the holiday season. Because we said, for example, we said people, like places. What are the places that I'm a big concern about this time of year is the parking lot. So you have a lot of people in the parking lot. A lot of people want to park close to the clubhouse. So you got places is another issue. So you got the people as the issue, but places. When I'm talking about places, I'm talking about, the parking lot's a place. The clubhouse is a place. You have people's houses that are decorated more so than other houses. These are places that enforcing your documents are very, very important. You have to make sure that those people we have to go to certain places, understand, again, the guidelines there. These are the things we have to do. If you want to come to our holiday party, we have the holiday party or holiday celebration, there's a place you can park. You can't park wherever in people's assigned parking spots. It might be parking for visitors. You can't just park anywhere in the park, okay? And if you have a clubhouse, you can say, well, this is holiday season. We're not going to obey the clubhouse rules. And again, it's the decorations. We're going to overly decorate everything. So again, we're talking about awareness of the three areas in terms of enforcement.
Yeah, people, you've talked about people, you talk about places, and I'm wondering here, just thinking about associations that I've lived in, can you get ahead of this? Can you communicate saying, welcome to the holiday season, these are our guidelines. Remember to remind your guests that clubhouse parking is limited. They may need to park on the street or things like that. Can you get ahead of it and promote success?
Guess what? That's number 3. That's the paper part of it. When we talk about the paper, that's the paper part of it, is to notify, communicate often that these are our guidelines for the holiday season. These are our guidelines. This is the way we think is the best way we all can enjoy the holiday season.
to share and enjoy, to share. Well, yeah, because we're talking about a lot of people living in tight space, and we want to get along and not be bumping elbows. And so what does that look like? And I like that. Okay.
So again, when we're talking about enjoy, and again, if we do that, guess what happens? The liability drops. So let's say we take any one of those three things. Okay, let's take the people part. Let's say we don't have rules or guidelines, and all of a sudden we start drinking. Okay, and all of a sudden we're drinking, but we know that we tell them that the clubhouse is available from this time to this time, but they continue to go on, and we say there's no alcohol, whatever the rule is, but then they disobey the rule, and now somebody gets hurt. As far as the board's concerned, if they say, listen, we gave guidelines out and we approved the guidelines, we have a defendable position. We're back to the defendable position when we're sued.
If a fight breaks out, or if someone trips and falls and hurts themselves, the board can, number one, I'm sorry that a fight broke out, and I'm sorry that someone tripped and fell and hurt themselves, but hey, we laid out the rules and guidelines,
exactly.
And so it's not on us, it's on them, something like that?
What we were saying is that this is what our procedures and policy is for the holiday season. We have them all in writing. We let everybody know in a timely manner, paper part of it. So guess what? If they disobey, if the unit owners or guests of the unit owners come in and disobey, we can hold them responsible and say, listen, you know our guidelines. You disobeyed our guidelines, okay? So now all of a sudden, because of this claim that's happening, again, we can't walk away from it, but we want to have a defendable position when we're sued. That's all we're doing right now, is saying we want to have a defendable position when we're sued.
So, well, I'm seeing it actually two parts. Number one is you want to minimize the chance that there is conflict or damage or something bad happening. And if it does happen, then the board is, or the association is in a defensible position. So you get two things for the price of one. You get
Exactly.
Got it.
So that's the first one. That's the enforcement part of it. So we got a clear idea of what the enforcement issues are. So now we go to number two.
Okay.
And number two is the maintenance part of it. The board responsibility has to maintain the association. So when we talk about maintenance, the three areas that I'm concerned about, and number one, you mentioned it, is fire. That's the big deal right now in community associations, because electrical, because people have candles out. Again, it's about awareness. We are, as the maintenance group, maybe you have maintenance policy, and it goes back to the paper part of the maintenance policy says that if you have electrical decorations, make sure you don't have all plugged into one socket here.
Well, what was that? Chevy Chase.
Yeah, exactly.
Chevy Chase in that movie.
Yeah, that's it. There are basic things that, as board of directors, okay, we have a maintenance policy. Okay, our maintenance policy is to make sure that our guidelines are followed. There are guidelines out there that says these are things you should not do during the holiday season. Okay, and to go back to the paper part, if you're going to plug lights in, you don't plug them in all to one little tiny little. You got to make sure you have adequate wattage and just make sure that's done correctly. So
got it. Okay.
Avoid fires as much as possible. That's the number one exposure right now, is the fires happening from dried Christmas trees or plugging too many in there and candles.
Kevin, when I think of fire, I continue to think of wildfires. And I think it's so important. What you're talking about is that I think maybe we've been distracted from the fires that start within a unit, or even you're boiling something on the stove and it goes dry. You're making a recipe that you make just once a year and you forget about it when people are coming in, and all of a sudden you got a fire in the kitchen. It just...
And during the holiday season, again, the likelihood of happening is greater because we're rushing around, we're running, we're cooking a big meal, and these things happen inside. Fire is the biggest exposure during the holiday season. The second one we have is this failure to maintain. You talked earlier about the slip and falls. It's the holiday season, so we're in California. We don't worry about the snow and the ice. But guess what? If you're in other parts of the country, you have to worry about snow and ice, and you're outside more. You're in community gatherings. You're going from the parking lot maybe to the clubhouse, and you may have been drinking. So you're worried about the raised sidewalks. And you're worried about the railings that might be loose. And you're worried about the things that you may have put aside for the past 6 months. Guess what? It's time to tighten everything up. because we know during the holiday season we're going to be seeing more guests in our common area. We're talking about the common areas. There's more people in the common areas. We have to worry about decorations that are too bright so you can't see any signs, but you end up missing some things because the decoration's too bright.
Yeah, and people that are unfamiliar with the property because they're guests and they get lost and they're going the wrong places and they're not in the normal traffic routines. And there will be some people that want to join the the Polar Bear Club and jump in the pool at midnight and slip and fall and may have been drinking, but those kinds of things. Okay.
That's it. So that's just maintenance. We talk about the importance of maintenance. During the holiday season, maintenance is really important because there's more people in the common areas than have been before. And you're right, they will do things that they haven't done before. And jumping in the pool with clothes on is one of the things people like doing.
You just mentioned the risk, but what's the proactive step? Should the board 10 o'clock at night do a walkthrough and just see what the place looks like at night? Where are the light bulbs out? Is the pool gate closed?
Yes.
Because again, should they do a dry run walkthrough?
Again, it goes back to, I said before, they should have a holiday, like it may be even an emergency planning session. That this is the holiday. What happens if somebody does pass out? What do we do if somebody gets too drunk? What happens? What are we going to do? So again, they have an emergency preparedness a set situation just in case there's a fire or for us earthquakes or, we all have emergency planning. Let's say, okay, we know there's certain things happen during the holiday season. Okay. Number one thing happened is we have to deal with people and places. So we have to make sure that instead of just ignoring certain things, maybe we should, if we know that the clubhouse have to close at 11 o'clock, we got to make sure that we're walking around to make sure they're getting into the area, get back to the park. One thing they can do is, let's say that the board decides to have a holiday party and invite the people in the community. Sometimes you may want to say, well, guess what? If we're going to have alcohol, maybe we should have a party outside the premises. Go down to the local restaurant, because once we have a party and we start serving alcohol, and guess what? And now all of a sudden, Robert Nordlund is the bartender because he's the president of the association. Okay. Yeah. So what happens is, again, you've increased your exposure. So I didn't say now have a party. I'm saying is that when we start having we get to a point where you say, you know what, maybe this party should be done down the street at the restaurant that we like. That way, if there's a situation where a person gets too much to drink, guess what? It's not our exposure, it is the restaurant exposure. We don't have to say no more drinking, no more. They have to say it. So that's one of the areas, again, talking about how can we protect the board of directors. Sometimes you got to make a decision and say, we don't want that exposure at all. We don't want that exposure.
I like that very much because I'm concerned that we don't want to be telling associations, bah humbug. Close down, no lights, no trees, no wreaths on your doors, no. I want to be, hey, let's have community. Let's build community. And the yeses are, hey, ABC restaurant down at the corner has a wonderful happy hour. Let's all go there.
Exactly.
And let's be and let's do. And if you say you're from Happy Valley Villas, they'll give you $1 off your first drink or whatever it is.
Yep.
Okay.
Because we know that when alcohol is involved, our exposure increases. So the best thing to do is to limit it by saying, let's go down the street for it. So, yes. Now, here's the third one in terms of the maintenance part of it. And to me, the most important one that we ought to be concerned with, that is safety and security. During the holiday season, safety and security is so important, especially in community associations. Because we let outsiders in. There are predators out there who's looking for packages. There's a lot there on safety and security. There's vandalism. People come in and just park their trucks just to put lights up. People will steal the truck. I mean, it's just a lot of things happening out there that you've been aware of.
Yeah, I'm reminded that I'm glad I'm not in your world, Kevin, because you hear all the bad things that happen.
Oh yeah, we do. I mean, assault and battery, just stuff happens, and this is not internal for the alcoholics and things. This is people who are outside and they know you're bringing packages packages in.
Yeah.
Just like going to the mall. They have predators at the mall waiting for people to come in the packages. They have predators who, maybe hanging around your community association, maybe a condo. You park your car in there, you're bringing packages up. So it is about awareness. Be aware of your security lights at night. And you mentioned that earlier, that the security lights got to be on. It got to be checked to make sure that the light bulbs are not out.
Yeah.
Make sure not a blind spot. So just, again, be aware of the security. We want to enjoy ourselves during the holiday season. In order to enjoy ourselves is very, very challenging where, if we know there are predators outside who's doing one thing, targeting us because we live in a controlled environment that we believe we are safe and secure. And we know there's no such word as safe and secure today. That's the one area I think that we miss more so than anything else, is that there are predators out there and they're after the people who live in those community associations because they feel safe.
I go back to thinking that you don't necessarily need to be safe, but you need to look like you're a safer place. And so a predator would say, I'm going to go somewhere else. So does that mean if you're an association that right now only has security at night and weekends, maybe do you add a few more hours to bring the security down to afternoons through overnight? Or maybe do you add a few hours or another more coverage, like you boost the swimming pool cleaning during the summer? How do you add more security or make your association look less like a target?
First of all, it goes back to what we said earlier about the paper. Just notify everybody to be aware. This is the holiday season. Just be aware that there are people out there who will prey on people who want to enjoy the holiday season. So notification, let people know that these things can happen. Just make them aware. If you have lights at night, you just make sure those lights working properly, and making sure they are, the time changes now. So make sure that the light's supposed to come on at 8 o'clock, make sure they shift over to 5 o'clock, because, there's certain things that we need to be aware of so that as we become aware, and again, for me, it's about protecting your insurance, because when you don't do these things, that's what happens. You end up having an insurance lawsuit against you, because guess what? If somebody gets hurt, and because that light that's supposed to be on has been burned out, or the time has been changed from 8 p.m. to 5 p.m., now all of a sudden you open yourself up to more potential liability.
Yeah, what you're talking about is simple things and inexpensive things and almost trivial things, but they can make all the difference.
And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the small things that make a difference.
We need to find a stopping point here because we're way past midpoint. But it's time to hear from one of our generous sponsors, after which we'll be back with more common sense for common areas, the little things that make a big difference at your association during the holiday seasons.
Is your HOA or condo self-managed and you don't want to work as hard volunteering? Are you full managed and looking to save money? Or are you looking to split the accounting from a manager's role for better service? Let Community Financials handle the monthly accounting for you. We collect dues, pay bills, produce financial reports, include portals, and help with other support services, all while providing awesome service. We'd love the opportunity to help you make your community accounting stress-free with our industry-leading systems and expert team. Visit our website, communityfinancials.com, to learn more.
And we're back. Well, Kevin led us through the idea of enforcing the rules in the documents, people, places, and the paper. That's the communication. Taking good care of the association, the maintenance. So, Kevin, you led off the episode talking about collecting assessments. So bring us home with part 3.
Okay. To me, financial management is something we can't take our eye off the ball during the holiday season. Okay? Because, as I said just a few seconds ago, there are predators out there who are looking at this time of year as a way of making money. So when we talk about community associations, to me, I'm talking about fraud. I'm worried about fraud. I'm worried about people who live in community associations, fraud, people who don't live in fraud, who don't live in community association, looking at them for ways of fraud. I'm looking for fraud where people just don't know any better. Board members don't know any. They make decisions. So let's start with that one, because at board of directors, you have a budget and guidelines. So within the budget and guidelines, to tell you what you can do and you can't do. So we just talked about, say, hey, take the board of directors, go out to the restaurant down the street there. Okay, so the last thing I want to see is an association get sued because they unlawfully or they illegally use funds they're not entitled to. Okay, so if you are going to do that, make sure you budget it and make sure you have the authority to do it. So whatever you do in a community association, and when it comes to money, make sure you have the authority to do it, and it's in the budget. So those are the two key things when we're talking about the financial part all the way around, but during the holiday season more so than ever, because guess what happens? We say, I got an idea. We should go down to the restaurant now and celebrate because we had a great year. We've been board members for a full year now. Let's go do it. Now, it's sounding a great idea, but do you have the authority? And is it in the budget? Now, you may say, well, we have the authority, but it's not in the budget. Then what happens later? Is that Robert, you and I come back to the party. We had a great time. We're laughing and joking past unit number 6. Unit number 6, look out that window and say, look at that. I wasn't invited to the party. What party was that? Oh, for board members only.
Right. Spending my money.
Yeah, exactly. Now, if you say, guess what? It's been budgeted and has been approved, then you walk away. You don't care. But if you firstly, that person in unit 6 who always gets on everybody's nerves, what are they going to do? It has been budgeted. You have the authority for doing that.
Okay. Otherwise, it's a great idea, and you need to shift to be a potluck over at my house, and Kevin, bring a bottle of wine.
Exactly. Exactly. But again, that's why these are little things we're talking about. Certain things you can do, just budget and make sure you have the authority. So that's the key thing, because the last thing we want to see is people being accused of theft. Because again, in that person unit 6 mind, they can say, you took $2,000 for this restaurant you have the authority for. So guess what? You embezzled $2,000 from the association.
Used it for yourself.
No, we just, but it's just a headache you have. Look, it's a mistake. We didn't mean it, and we'll put the money back. And all of a sudden you raise a headache for yourself.
And you damage the credibility of the board, you damage transparency, and we're trying to build peaceful and productive associations here. You talk about lowering the temperature, and all of a sudden you just created an irritant, made things worse.
And which goes to the next level of an actual theft from my board member. Let's say the treasurer gets the money, and then again, they decides to do things that maybe out and out dishonest. They take the money and decide, and this kind of thing. So you know what? We got holiday decorations. We're gonna put it in the rec center and in the front. And guess what? I'm gonna put some of them in my house there. So I'm gonna have to add an extra $1,000 because guess what? I'm tired of the house down the street that everybody loves. I'm gonna do it on my street too. I'm gonna decorate my house better than everybody else's. And those are kind of things that happen in associations.
Who'll notice? They gave me $500 to spend on decorations. I spent $300 on the clubhouse decorations, $200 on me.
That's it.
Ouch.
That's it. I mean, it's those kind of things. And again, in their mind, the person's mind is like, I have the right to do that because guess what? I'm doing the work. I'm the treasurer of the association. I did a great job all these years. And who cares about $200? Who cares about board decorations? They don't need that much decorations. They finish, and I'm using them. You know how we justify it in our mind. These kind of things. Yeah. This is a tough one. Cyber. So now all of a sudden you live in a community association. Okay. And now you're buying things. You're buying all this equipment. Okay. And now you got to pay for the equipment. And so you hired a contractor to do all your Christmas decorations, put them up. And we agree. And now all of a sudden that contractor gets hacked. And what he does is says, guess what? I want payment right now because it's overdue. Or guess what? You've paid me right now. We'll discount it by 10%. And guess what happens? And then they'll say this, here's my new banking routing number. Send it over here. Or here's my Venmo. This is it. Send me immediately. We'll discount it by 10%.
Yeah, I'm getting anxious just thinking about that because you see it more. I hear it. And it's not good.
Got to be aware of the cyber. So whenever, again, this is a simple solution though. Whenever you get a invoice from anybody that says, this is my new banking routing number, be aware. Because we don't call. Because we don't really change our banking routing numbers. I haven't changed my banking routing number ever. I'm using the same one I've had, for, I don't know. I opened up a bank when I was 12, probably. But when you see that on there, be careful because again, they're predators out there, and they understand it's the holiday season. And guess what happens during the holiday season? People are not as aware, they're not as sharp as they normally are. So if you get a contractor come in, your landscaper, whoever it is, and they get hacked, and all of a sudden you're having so much joy and celebration, they say, here's my new banking routing number. Oh, sure, here's the money right now. Oh, we give the discount. Great, wonderful. And all of a sudden, it's fraudulent.
And then you have a problem on your hands.
You have a problem in your hand.
Oh, yikes. Okay, a related question. Are we at a tipping point where if you are, if you're tipping someone, that's cash, okay? But there are Christmas bonuses. Are we at a tipping point where we should be doing that electronically rather than a paper check? Are checks now almost turning into hazards, or are checks still okay rather than checks getting stolen and reused and things like that? Or is that another episode?
No. It's a great question, because one of the exposures right now in community associations is people will use these keys, master keys, open up the mailboxes and take checks out of all the mailboxes. Okay. So whenever there's checks used, there's more exposure today than there have been in the past. So I don't use checks anymore, because you can easily wipe them out. You can easily, change them. And guess what? We don't do monthly bank reconciliation anymore either. So checks goes out. We don't look at it. We don't see it been paid, not been paid. We don't know until we get that phone call saying, I haven't been paid yet. So right now, checks are target in community associations because it's easy to get that little key, open up and look through everybody's mail and get the checks and move on. So again, this is the holiday season. We got to be more aware of it during normally, because in January and February, we're aware because those bills come in and there's more awareness of things. But right now, we take our eye off the ball a little bit.
Well, I think that's a big summary for what you've been talking about, that you're not talking about anything new or different. It comes to enforcing the rules. That's something you should be doing all year. You should be communicating all year. The new pool hours are. The pool will open on Memorial Day. It'll open earlier this year. Whatever it is, you are communicating, and all you're doing is giving us a focus here at the holiday time of year. Do these kinds of things. Give your guidelines. Maintain the property. It should always be maintained. It should never have trip and fall hazards. When in the fall, when the leaves come down, it's going to be slipperier. Then you're going to have ice and more slippery. So many things. And assessment collections. As a board member or a manager, you're a fiduciary. You're caring for someone else's stuff, so you should be careful. So exercise those kinds of things.
This is really a risk management talk, more so than about the holiday season. But it is for a reason, because right now there is more exposure. We see more fires, more slip and falls. We see more people drinking, and we're seeing things. And the main thing is that they don't have one thing, a holiday policy or holiday guidelines. If they have guidelines, they can avoid a lot of these different things. And when you have the holiday guidelines, you have a defensible position when you sue, because how come you didn't stop? How come you didn't do it? And can you imagine that lawyer says, Robert, you're the president of Happy Valley Association. Do you have a policy for a holiday and how you should behave? And you say no. What happens then?
You are exposed. Yeah. And what you're talking about here is all simple, inexpensive, changing a light bulb and the things that we should be doing anyway.
Yeah.
I'm relieved and I am encouraged. Okay.
Yes.
Kevin, great talking with you. I like finishing on a high note. Any closing thoughts to add at this time?
No. Enjoy the holiday, guys. Enjoy it. We look forward to next year. 2026 should be a lot better year than 2025 for a lot of us. We all hope it will be. So I'm looking forward to 2026.
So am I. And I'm optimistic. Well, we hope you learned some HOA insights from our discussion today that helps you bring common sense to your common areas. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to bringing many more episodes to you week after week after week. We'll be here, and it'll be great to have you join us on a regular basis. Spread the word.
You've been listening to HOA Insights, common sense for common areas. If you like the show and want to support the work that we do, you can do so in a number of ways. The most important thing that you can do is engage in the conversation. Leave a question in the comments section on our YouTube videos. You can also email your questions or voice memos to podcast@reservestudy.com or leave us a voicemail at 805-203-3130. If you gain any insights from the show, please do us a huge favor by sharing the show with other board members that you know. You can also support us by supporting the brands that sponsor this program. Please remember that the views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the hosts and guests, with the goal of providing general education about the community association industry. You'll want to consult licensed professionals before making any important decisions. Finally, this podcast was expertly mixed and mastered by Stokelight Video and Marketing. With Stokelight on your team, you'll reach more customers with marketing expertise that inspires action. See the show notes to connect with Stokelight.